Alright. Hey everyone, it's UnsungNPC. We are back here with another Pillars of Eternity class video, taking a look at the CIPHER class. The CIPHER class is a class that's kind of unique to Pillars. Some people might say it's kind of just like any other psychic or psionic class in any other game, but it's not. It's very interesting to play. It's one of my favorite classes in the game. Cypher and Chanter are kind of the two favorites that I have for this game. So we're going to take a look at what the Cypher can do. So endurance low, health low, accuracy average, deflection really, really high. They get bonuses to lore, mechanics, and stealth. And then they get powers. And then they get an ability called Soul Whip. So what's going to happen is we're going to kind of go over just the mechanics of this class, basically. So Ciphers will begin combat with a amount of focus. Generally enough to cast an ability. And then when you use your powers that you have, which are like your spells, they will take your focus away. And to generate more focus, you do that through combat. So through the Soul Whip ability, which can be upgraded in different ways. So we're going to take a look at kind of how this works. So first you have the Soul Whip. That's your ability that you get. It's passive. It just does it gives a little bit of a bonus to damage that you do with any weapons. And then you will gain focus for your spells. You can change your Soul Whip into some different things. So there's Biting Whip, which changes the damage and makes it an increased amount of damage. And then there's Draining Whip, which gives you more focus on a hit, basically. And I think you can use both of those modifications. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure you can use both of them. I think in Pillars of Eternity 2, you can only use one of them. It's been a while since I played Pillars, but you've also got Psychic Backlash, which is stunning an enemy whenever they try to attack your will defense. So if anyone tries to do any mind fuckery to you, then you get to stun them. Comes in very handy at certain points in the game. You can change it to Brutal Backlash, which deals damage to them as well, which is really cool. And then there's also just an ability that every Cypher should take called Greater Focus, which just increases the maximum amount of focus you're allowed to have. You should take that. Take it. Do it, please. Now we're going to get into the powers, all right? We're going to go through level by level. So level 1, you have Tenuous Grasp, which assails the target's grasp on reality, frightening and confusing them. This is a fun ability to use. Doesn't work on every enemy, obviously, because it is like something that makes them frightened or confused, and not every single enemy you can fight becomes frightened or confused. Some of them are immune to that kind of thing. You got Antipathetic Field. Creates a toxic physical manifestation of the mutual antipathy between the Cypher and an enemy target, and then anyone caught in the path between the two suffers corrosive damage. That's a really cool ability too. There's a few abilities that are kind of like do a beam between you and someone else, and it does stuff to people in between, kind of like the Witch Bolt spell in D&D. I love those. Witch Bolt, I guess, only targets the target. Doesn't really target anyone in between. But it creates like a beam, a tether between you two. I love those kind of tethering abilities. I love those in this game. Whisper of Treason. This is pretty much the one that I always start with, because it charms an enemy for 10 seconds. And there's a bit of the game where you have a little bit of combat before you're able to get some companions, and being able to charm people is nice because then it kind of evens out the battle. So love that ability. I'm also a big fan of the CC, the crowd control abilities, more than I am just the straight damage. I never make a straight damage Cypher. I never do that. I focus on dexterity and perception so I can hit quick and hit accurately, and then I focus on intelligence for like the duration and the AoE of my abilities. So I love doing charm and like other things that like disable certain enemies in the game instead of just dealing damage. I love crowd control characters. It's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, put Whisper of Cheese up there again. Okay, you've got Soul Shock. Briefly transforms the outer shell of an allied target's soul into energy. This one's also fun to use on like your tank character that's gonna get hit a lot. So you can use it on your ally, and then characters standing in the area around that target just take consistent shock damage. That one's really, really fun. I generally take that one too. Just throw it on your tank, and then everyone around them is just being shocked. Pretty cool. Eye Strike blinds and dazes a target, and then blinds those. Blinds those nearby. Haven't messed with that one too much, but it seems cool. Mind Wave, concussive blast of psychic energy. They take raw damage from the trauma, and then characters in a cone area behind the target, if they fail a fortitude check, they're all knocked prone. That one's a pretty sweet ability. Anything that makes characters fall prone is excellent crowd control. Right? Alright, level 2. Mental Binding. I love this ability. I always take this ability, and I consistently use this ability very late into the game. And what it does is it paralyzes the enemy, and can potentially leave nearby enemies stuck, which in this game is like, you're not paralyzed, like you can attack, but you can't move. So if you're a melee person, you're stuck there until you can move up to fight someone. So being able to paralyze and then stuck those around, fantastic crowd control. Probably one of the best crowd control abilities a Cypher can have, to be honest. Recall Agony is fun to do if you're a damage Cypher. Causes the target to relive the psychic trauma of an injury moments after receiving it. So after someone does damage to them, you can use Recall Agony, and then they take 30% of that damage back again. It's good if someone did a really good hit on someone, or like a crit. It's not good if someone just kind of like tapped someone, because 30% of that's going to be nothing, right? Amplified Thrust, great ability for damage Cyphers. Bounces psychic energy harmlessly off the target and onto the closest nearby enemy, causing pierce damage and violently pushing them back. So you target one of your allies, preferably the tank or whoever's near all the enemies. You hit them, and then it bounces to everyone around them, and they all get pushed and get dealt damage. So that's a pretty fun ability as well. Psycho Vampiric Shield, stealing a portion of the person's resolve in order to better deflect. So you're taking resolve from a character, and it gives you deflection, which is cool. Cool ability. I prefer to just leave my character like out of harm's way if I can, if I'm a Cypher, so I don't really care about stuff like that. That'd be good for like a melee damage Cypher. I always play ranged crowd control Cyphers, so that ability doesn't suit me and my playstyle. But if you're doing like a melee damager Cypher, that would be a really nice ability to have. This next one's also really good. Phantom Foes. Invades the minds of the targets in the area, causing them to believe they are surrounded, which makes everyone flanked, even if they're not actually flanked. A+ ability. Mind Blades is like one of the go-to damage abilities if you're a damage Cypher, because you hit a target and then it jumps to other targets and you're just dealing slashing damage to them. So that's a pretty cool ability. It's a lot of damage in a group of enemies. So if you're a damage Cypher, definitely check that one out. Yes. Okay. Ecto Psychic Echo. I love this one. Generates a rebounding wave of psychic feedback between the Cypher and an ally that causes crush damage to anyone caught in between. This is one of the ones that I love, one of the tethering abilities. So I use it on my ally, probably the tank, whoever's in the middle of all the enemies, and then I just run around and just deal damage to everyone around this guy. And I'll just like run as I'm doing stuff and do that. Super fun ability. Puppet Master dominates an enemy, which is a lot stronger than a charm ability. One of my favorite abilities as a crowd control Cypher. Excellent. Soul Ignition forces an enemy's soul to leak energy, igniting the air around them and burning them over time. This one's also really fun because you are it's another one, like a lot. It's cool that a lot of these abilities do some like damage over time kind of stuff. I like DOT. So yeah, it's just, you're just burning these people over time. This one's pretty great for creatures that are susceptible to burn, obviously. You got Pain Link, where you mentally link nearby enemies to the target, forcing them to experience a portion of all damage. So basically, you put this on an ally, preferably your tank. I'm going to keep saying that. Preferably your tank. And then what happens is the enemies around them become linked to them. And if the tank takes damage, then the enemies will also take damage. So actually, maybe not even the tank, maybe just like a frontline fighter or a barbarian who gets hurt a lot, but still deals damage. Because that way they're all getting hurt a lot. That might be better. You've got Secret Horrors, which is an AoE, and it frightens enemies. That's a really fun one. Frightens and sickens them. So another good AoE crowd control. I haven't messed with the fear abilities too much in this class. I probably should. I think that'd be really fun to play around with. I'm always just focusing on like mind controlling people instead, but Fractured Volition violates an enemy's memories to bring vivid recollections of past failures, leaving the target hobbled and weakened. This one's a nice ability. It is single target only. So if you're fighting like a big boss or like a big champion level enemy in a group of like smaller ones, it might be nice to use so that they're a little bit weakened and hobbled and whatnot. But I don't know. The Wild Leech ability, super awesome ability. You take 10 points from a random attribute that the target has and gives it to you, which is cool. It's a hit or miss, right? It's a random attribute. So like you could take their Constitution or their Resolve, neither of which you actually use as a Cypher, but you took something, right? And it takes it from them. So taking away anything from them is a plus, but what you get in return is hit or miss. Body Attunement, I like this ability a lot. It's a good defensive ability. So you drain a portion of the target's damage reduction and then grant it to you as a Cypher, which is really cool. I think out of all the things to like steal from someone, damage reduction is a good one to steal. You've got Silent Screams, which is a psychic howl, stuns the target as well as dealing raw damage to all enemies within the area. Has a high chance of causing an interrupt, which is pretty cool. I haven't messed with this one too much either, but stunning the target is always an excellent crowd control ability. And it does damage as well. Mind Lance. This is a key damage Cypher ability as well. Impales the target with a lance of pure force, inflicting pierce damage to all in the line of attack. So yeah, you're just Mind Lance. Pretty self-explanatory. Great damage ability. Pain Block provides an ally with a mental block on pain, granting a bonus to their damage reduction and regenerating endurance over time. This one is great for one of your frontline warriors who's been getting hit, just being able to put that pain block on them, and then they can take more hits and also heal some endurance over time. Really nice support ability there. Alright, level 5 abilities. Level 5, Borrowed Instinct. So the foe loses intellect and perception, causing damage to those enemy attributes while boosting your defense and accuracy. This one I like for any Cypher, particularly damaged ones as well, because accuracy's solid. So like that. Tactical Meld. I like this ability a lot. Connects the mind of the Cypher with an ally to gain the ally's knowledge of his or her enemy, bestowing an attack bonus. So, if you use it on an ally, and then whenever you two are attacking the same target, you get a bonus to your accuracy, a big bonus to your accuracy, which is a really, really cool ability. Detonate is a great one for a damage Cypher. I've never used this. I don't ever plan to, because I don't make damage Cyphers, but splinters the soul with sheer force, inflicting raw damage to them. Targets with low endurance explode, causing crush damage to all in the area of effect. So if you use it on someone who's like at the end of their endurance, they'll explode and everyone around will take damage, which is awesome. Ringleader is great because it dominates a target and then charms those around the target in an AoE, which I am here for. That's like the ultimate crowd control ability for the Cypher. Mind Plague is cool. It jumps from target to target to target, which dazes and confuses them. So you're just kind of like spreading this Mind Plague to everyone, and they're all becoming dazed and confused, which is awesome. Then you've got Amplified Wave, a good damage AoE. So basically you cause a shockwave that inflicts crush damage and then knocks everyone prone, which is pretty simple but pretty cool. Disintegration, also very good damage Cypher ability. Burns away all the ethereal sinew that holds together the mind, body, and soul of the target enemy, causing it to rapidly take raw damage. Targets that have their endurance reduced to 0 disintegrate into non-existence. Isn't that fun? Okay, and then we've got the 7th and 8th level powers from White March 1 and White March 2. So, from White March 1, you've got Stasis Shell, where you put a foe in a stasis shell and it leaves them unable to do anything, but they also can't be damaged. So if you got like an enemy archer or a caster or someone that's just kind of being really freaking annoying, it's good to just stick them in the shell for a bit and just leave them there until you've dealt with everyone else, and then they come back and then you can go and wreck them. Time Parasite is a great ability. I love this one. You steal 50% of the attack speed, and then it jumps to other targets as well. So you're just constantly taking everyone's attack speed, which is a really, really cool feature. I love this ability. It makes it great for if you just want to be able to get in more hits and mow a group of enemies down. You can just take all of their attack speed. Defensive Mind Web, awesome ability. It's a friendly aura So everyone near the caster will be linked to them with mines, and they use the best defense of anyone in the web for any defenses. So if your tank has the best deflection, now everyone in the mine web gets that deflection. If your Cypher has the best will, now everyone in the web gets that will. That is a super powerful defensive ability and worth the crazy amount of focus that it costs to use it. And then you've got Reaping Knives, which is like an awesome ability. Basically, you target an ally and give them Reaping Psychic Knives to use. The blades do raw damage and generate focus for the Cypher who created them. So don't use this if you want to give a character a damage boost, because that's not what it does. Especially if at this point in the game where you have these high level abilities, your warriors probably already have sick weapons. This is to use on someone who is going to go generate focus for your Cypher. I would love to use this on anyone that's a druid when they shift, because the shifted creatures fight really fast. So if you can do that and then give that creature the reaping knives, then that'll generate a lot of focus for you. And that's the reason why you would want to use that ability. It's a focus generating ability, not an additional damage or weapon ability by any means. So yeah. So this is the Cypher. It's a lot of mind stuff. There's lots of good crowd control, but there is a lot of good damage if you prefer to be a damage character as well. You can really do anything with this character except heal and be purely support, because there's only a couple of support abilities. So it's not worth trying to be a support Cypher, really. But whatever you guys feel like is fun to do is what you should do. It's way easier to be a support Cypher in Pillars of Eternity 2, and we'll be able to go over that when we go over those classes later. But yeah, for right now, this is the Cypher in Pillars of Eternity 1. I hope that you get interested in this class if you weren't already, because it's freaking awesome. My favorite class. I love it so much. For all you veteran players, hopefully this gave you some more insight into what the Cypher can do. For new players, hopefully this gives you some ideas of, you know, how you might want to try out Cypher. But it's a really cool class. You should totally check it out. Like I said, I always play ranged Cyphers that do crowd control. Everyone says Cypher should do weapons that are faster. I disagree. I personally have enjoyed using a Cypher with rifles and pistols. They take a long time to use, but they do so much damage that you just get like a dump of focus after each shot, and I think that's more fun than just trying to shoot as much as you can. So that's to me though, and however you guys want to do it is going to be awesome, I'm sure. So tell me about your Cyphers if you make them. But yeah, I'm UnsungNPC, and I will catch you guys in the next one.